Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jai Krishna Balaram. Jaya Radha Shyama Sundar Radha Shyama Sundar Jai Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo. Harinam Sankirtan ki, Srila Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita ki, Nitai Go Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're taking the reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 10, text 35, titled The Opulence of the Absolute. So we take this sloka. Bṛhat-sāma tathā Gāyatrī. Bṛhat-sāma tathā sāmnāṁ. Gāyatrī chandasām. Māsānāṁ mārga-śīrṣo aham. ṛtūnāṁ kusuma-ākaraḥ. Please somebody try.
Bṛhat-sāma tathā sāmnāṁ. Gāyatrī chandasām aham.
Gāyatrī chandasām.
Māsānāṁ mārga-śīrṣaḥ.
Māsānāṁ.
ṛtūnāṁ kusuma-ākaraḥ.
ṛtūnāṁ kusumā-ākaraḥ. Bṛhat-sāma.
Gāyatrī chandasām aham. Māsānāṁ mārga-śīrṣo. ṛtūnāṁ kusuma-ākaraḥ.
Bṛhat-sāma tathā sāmnāṁ.
Gāyatrī chandasām aham. Māsānāṁ mārga-śīrṣo. ṛtūnāṁ kusumā-ākaraḥ.
Bṛhat-sāma. Gāyatrī chandasām.
Māsānāṁ mārga-śīrṣo.
ṛtūnāṁ kusumā-ākaraḥ. Bṛhat-sāma. The Bṛhat-sāma. Tathā. Also. Sāmnāṁ. Of the Sāma Vedas. Of the Sāma Veda song. Gāyatrī. The Gāyatrī hymn. Chandasām. Of all the poets. Aham. I am. Māsānāṁ. Of month. Mārga-śīrṣa. Of the month of November, December. Aham. I am. ṛtūnāṁ. of all season.
all seasons.
Kusum-ākaraḥ,
Kusuma-ākaraḥ,
spring.
spring.
Translation. Of the hymns in the Sāma Vedas, I am the Bṛhat-sāma, and of the poets, I am the Gāyatrī. Of months, I am mārga-śīrṣa, November and December. And of season, I am flower-bearing spring. So let us say together, of the hymns
Of the hymns
in the Sāma Vedas,
in the Sāma Veda
I am the Bṛhat-sāma.
I am the Bṛhat-sāma,
And of poetry,
and of poetry
I am Gāyatrī.
I am the Gāyatrī.
Of months,
Of months
I am mārga-śīrṣa,
I am mārga-śīrṣa,
November and December.
November and December.
And of the season,
And of seasons
I am flower-bearing spring.
I am flower-bearing spring.
So who is actually speaking? Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna speaking. Very good. Purport. It has already been explained by the Lord that among all the Vedas is the Sāma Vedas. The Sāma Veda is rich with beautiful songs played by the various demigods. One of these songs is the Bṛhat-sāma, which has an exquisite melody and is sung at midnight. In Sanskrit, there are definite rules that regulate poetry. Rhythm and meters are not written whimsically, as in much modern poetry. Among these, the regulated poetry, the Gāyatrī mantra, which is chanted by the duly qualified Brahmanas, is the most prominent. The Gāyatrī mantra is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam because the Gāyatrī mantra is especially meant for God realization. It represents the Supreme Lord. This mantra is meant for spiritually advanced people. And when one attains success in chanting it, he can enter into the transcendental position of the Lord. One must first acquire the qualities of the perfectly situated person. The quality of goodness according to the laws of material nature in order to chant Gāyatrī mantra. The Gāyatrī mantra is very important in Vedic civilization and is considered to be the sound incarnation of Brahman. Brahman is its initiator and it is passed down from him in disciplic succession. The month of November, December is considered the best of all months because in India, grains are collected from the field. At this time, and the people become very happy. Of course, spring is a season universally liked because it is neither too hot nor too cold. And the flowers and trees blossom and flourish. In spring, there are also many ceremonies commemorating Krishna's pastime. Therefore, this is considered to be the most joyful of all seasons, and it is the representative of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna. Om Agyan Timiranjasyan Jananjana Shlaka Chakshu Meritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinam Bandhu Chekapati Gopi Gopikanta Radha Kanta Namaste. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Sivasade Gaura Bharata. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So it is very interesting that this particular text, Krishna is identifying different phenomena as itself. And these different phenomena, they have different interplay. Okay, in the last part of this purport, we read Krishna is considering the spring. It said the month of November, December is considered the best of all months because in India grains are collected from the field at this time and the people become very happy. Of course, spring is a season universally liked because it is neither too hot nor too cold, and the flowers and trees blossom and flourish. So this is a very interesting one. Well, unfortunately, today we see that different things, chemicals becoming so paramount. People rejoice for this season because the natural fruits, the natural products from the ground comes up. For instance, in this season, November and December, we get so many fresh flowers to decorate the deities. And these flowers, they have some wonderful aroma. But unfortunately, these days, if you go close to this flower, it smells. Why? Because of so much chemicals. But Krishna identify himself with this month because it is a month that helps people to remember Krishna. Because when you see, for instance, when you see mango, you know, there's a change of season. And those who taste mango, who are spiritually minded, they say, yes, Krishna is doing his job. So all these different phenomena that Krishna is associating himself, they are just meant to remind us. For instance, he mentions in the purport about the Gayatri mantra. The Gayatri mantra, as he mentioned, is meant to enhance our spiritual practice. And it is being chanted, three times a day. Morning, afternoon, and evening. What does this signify? It signifies, our connection, our, involvement, enlightenment. Because when we chant this mantra, the Brahmana get more exposed into the garment of the Shastras. What was closed become open like flowers. You know the flowers? In the night it's closed. Then in the morning it opens. So when Brahmana chanted Gayatri to study the scriptures, what was hidden in the scriptures become open. So we see in the beginning it is mentioned, the Bṛhat-sāma. Some people have different opinion about this. Some say this Bṛhat-sāma is used to glorify the Lord, by the demigods, for auspiciousness. Another also mentioned that this same hymn is used to glorify Indra for protections. And so also, of the opinion that it's used to glorify, Agni, the fire god for, inspiration or whatever. But the point we want to raise, whether it is used to glorify Indra or Agni, but we know practically that the demigods do not accept any glorification for themselves. Whatever glorification they get, they pass it on to the Lord. And we remember that sloka in the Vedas, that what it says. What's that famous sloka again? Yeah, I could remember that the demigods, they are accepting on behalf of the Lord. I could not, but that is the point. The demigods accept things on behalf of the Lord. So, whether it is being used for the glorification of Indra or glorification of Agni, but indirectly or directly, they pass it on to the Supreme Lord. And so here we see Krishna is identifying that him as himself. But one thing that we draw our attention to, which we are going to do a little reflection on, is what we have, or what the Acharya gives us, that draws our attention day to day to the Lord. This is very, very important for us. And it's also hymns, and it was composed by Srila Vijwanatha Chakravarti Thakur. It is even mentioned that it says the 8 prayers to the Guru composed by Srila Vijwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, who says, one who, with great care and attention, loudly recite this beautiful prayer to the spiritual master during the Brahma Muhurta, obtain direct service to Krishna, the Lord of Vrindavan, at the time of his death. So the point here is that there have been, or there are still, but these particular hymns that the Acharya have presented to us, they connect us not only to the spiritual master, it connects us to the Supreme Lord also. And these hymns, we recite this hymn day in, day out, especially in the morning. Sometimes people themselves recite it just to get more closer, more connected. But the point is that, how often do we internalize these hymns? How often do we internalize? Because when we internalize things, it will be easier for us to process this and make use of it. But if it just becomes a kind of a ritual every morning, then it does not make much sense. If we internalize a particular hymn, throughout the day, we'll be spiritually minded, spiritually conscious. For instance, the first stanza says, Samsarada, you all know this song, right? He's in charge in Samadhi, right? Samsarada vananalina loka, chanayaka yunakan, nananam, varuna, karyuna, nanavasya, vande guru shri charanaravinda. What is the translation? The spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy, just as cloud pure water on a forest fire to extinguish it. So the spiritual master delivered the materially afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master, who is an ocean of auspicious quality. Is this place not hot enough? Is this place not hot enough? Is it not enough for us to be more attached to the spiritual master? It's enough. This place is hot enough. What does this hotness remind us? It reminds us of that sloka, Du Kalayan Asrashvatam. That every place, that the person you see yesterday, you might be surprised this morning they said the person is gone. Yeah, it's possible. So these things are what is happening here. But by the grace of the spiritual master, this hot place, it extinguishes with the extinguisher of knowledge. Who knows what extinguisher is here? Extinguisher is, we can see these things everywhere. Extinguisher? You know extinguisher? What is extinguisher actually? Yeah, fire, fighter. When there is fire now, you bounce it on the floor. Before you know. So this is what the spiritual master used to help us reduce the hotness of this place. Is it not enough for us to oftentimes, remember the spiritual master day in, day out? When we have somebody so caring for like this, reducing the hotness, many of us, we can testify this. If you don't put on your fan in the night, even in the afternoon, is it possible for you to take rest? If you don't put your fan, panka, you don't put on your fan or your cooler, is it possible for you to take rest? No, because of the hotness, right? 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 Because of the hotness. Yeah, it is true. Bhagavad Gita said those who are in knowledge they don't lament for hotness and coldness. But since we still have this body, there is always a tendency that, very hot, right? The tendency is there now, right? The tendency is there. This process helps us to come to that level when we are not disturbed, whether it's too hot or it's too cold. Since we are still practicing this process, so there is still some element that lingers around the heart that, very hot. That is normal. But we see this kind of hotness. This is what the spiritual master reduced for us. Therefore, in the last part, he said, I should pay my respectful obeisance unto him. A kind of appreciation. The second stanza, what is that? Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita Vaditya Manja Manasura Sina Romanchakam Pasutrananga Baju Vande Guru Sri Charana Ravinda. Translation. He said, chanting the holy name, dancing in ecstasy, singing and playing musical instruments. The spiritual master is always gladdened by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he is relishing the mellows of pure devotion within his mind. Sometimes his bodily hair stands on end, and he feels cooling in his body, and tears flow from his eyes like waves. I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of the spiritual master. So, the spiritual master shows us this ecstasy for us to be informed, for us to be enlivened, for us to be inspired, that this process, it promises us hope. This process promises us a purpose, promises us fulfillment. These things appears in the body of spiritual master, not artificial, just for us to be enlightened, for us to be informed, that when we stick ourselves to this process, there is hope, there is fulfillment. The third one, Shri Vigraha Nana Nitya Nana Tringaritama Nidya Manjanado Yuta Chabacham Nyunjatopi Vande Guru Sri Charana Ravinda. It's a translation. The spiritual master is always engaged in the temple worship of Sri Radha and Krishna. He also engages disciples in such worship. They dress the deity in beautiful clothes and ornaments, clean their temple, and perform other similar worship of the Lord. I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. This is a follow by example. Follow by example. And this is what we see in the life of Srila Prabhupada's disciples. There is no concoction. They are just following what Srila Prabhupada has given. So we should not be left out. We should also follow. And what is the point here? The spiritual master worships the deity. He does not just do it alone. He also engages his disciples to get more involved in this practical process of spiritual life. So what it means is that when the spiritual master involved the disciples in this Acha Vigraha worship, the disciples become, enlightened. Then he gets more inspiration that yes, there is an extraordinary thing in this process. Then the fourth one, Chachu Vidase Bhagava Prasado Shradhana Kirtan Hari Bhakta Sangha Vitvaiva Priti Bhayadasa Deva Vande Guru Shri Charana Ravinda. The spiritual master is always offering Krishna 4 kinds of delicious foods. Analyze as that which can be licked. You can lick it. Who can give example of what we can lick? What is that we can lick? Chutney? What is that we can lick? Honey, yes, honey we can lick honey. What is that we can lick?
Sweet chutney.
Yeah, we can lick. What are those things that we can lick? What about mango? Aham, right? Is there anybody who don't like mango? Is there anybody who don't like mango?
Yes.
Yeah, mango is there. These are things, the spiritual master gives Krishna these things that Krishna can lick. 4 things, this is one. What Krishna can lick. Yeah, licking. Yeah. So we will see all these things here. It's a lick, chewing, something, what are something? Like pakora. Like pakora. Like pakora. Chew, something you can chew. Yeah, like pakora, puri, So we can mention so many things. So many things are there that, we can chew. So what does the experience? What is the experience here? That God is not void. That God is a person. Is it not a human being who can lick something? Can spirit lick something? It's not a human being who can. Yeah, that God is not void. That God is a person like you, like me. 2, the third one. What is the third one? Something you can suck. Something you can suck. So the spiritual master give, the Lord these things. Then the 4th one. What is that 4th one? Drink. Chas, water, juice, name it. These 4 things spiritual master offer to the Lord. And they signifies that the Lord is not spirit, as people who want us to believe, as people would think. That the Lord is a human being, just like you. Because if the Lord does not have a form, how can he relish these 4 things that the spiritual master offer him? Then the 5th one. What is the 5th one? Shirade Kavan, Madayo Apara, Madhurya Lila, Gunarupanana, Pratishana Swandana Lolo Pasha, Vande Guru Shri Charana Ravinda. Is it the spiritual master? So the spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant about the unlimited conjugal pastime of Sri Radhika and Madhava, and about their qualities, name and form. The spiritual master aspires to relish this at all moments. I offer my respectful obeisance unto the spiritual master. So what do we have here? We have, these are Krishna's quality. Name, what is name? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Srila Prabhupada is always chanting, right? If you go around the temple where you have Srila Prabhupada Vigraha Murti, you always see japa. He's always chanting. So the spiritual master, they are always chanting. So they encourage us never to forget this Maha Mantra, which is a therapy for this age. It's a therapy. Sometimes I joke with people. When you have fever or you have headache, there are some tablets, right, that can resolve. Okay? Right? When you have malaria, There are some tablets that can resolve. But what is the remedy for the disease of the mind? The agitations of the mind. What is the therapy for it? What tablet will you prescribe? You see, yeah, because you know, because you are a devotee. There are many things happening in today's world. Majority of it is being caused by the mind. Because those who are not informed, they have no idea about the therapy that works for the mind. Don't forget, Bhagavad Gita said the mind is your best friend and your worst enemy, right? But at what time is this mind your best friend and your worst enemy? At what time? When is this mind your best friend? And when is this mind your worst enemy?
When we are engaging in the service of the Lord, this mind, then it is our friend. Otherwise, if we are wasting it in other things.
Good, good. When the mind is controlled by spiritual engagement, the mind is our best friend. When the mind is not engaged, it's our worst enemy. So the spiritual master teaches us the science on how we can engage the mind so that we can always be in the present. Because when we are in present, we can relish what the Acharya has given us to progress in spiritual life. When the mind jumps like monkey, is it possible to relish the dividends of spiritual life? No, it's not possible. You are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. And the mind is telling you, you have to go to Krishna hall on time so that the subject don't finish. Or the mind is telling you a different thing just to capture your attention. But those who are informed know that this is monkey. I have to be careful with this monkey. I have to be careful. And how are you be careful about this monkey? It's by not giving room, by keeping in touch with this Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. See, most of you don't really understand. I will say what we have. If you actually know what we have in this institution, day in, day out, you think that you own more obligation to this institution. If any of you are current here now, if there's anybody very current, you understand that there is a crisis in Kerala. Not a political crisis. Not a political crisis. Not an institutional crisis. But the crisis of the mind. What is this crisis we are talking about? Addict crisis. Abuse. Drug abuse. You could imagine 104 institutions is under surveillance. Why? Because of drug abuse. And what is the cause of all these things? And before now, we have heard stories, not just authentic stories, how issues of drug is crippling the entire state. What are the results? What are the cause of all these things? The mind. If the mind is not controlled, it can run wide like a vehicle that has no brake. A vehicle that has no brake, what is the perception? Oh my God, don't be close to that vehicle. don't try to be close. If you see that vehicle, that has no brake, your mind tells this vehicle has no, don't stay on the way. Don't show any ego to be on the way. Because that vehicle will crush hell out of you. So the mind is like that vehicle that has no brake when it's not controlled. Well, because of we have limited time, the sixth one? Nikundayo no ratikele seyai Jaya Viyuriya Fikshaniya Tathā Tridasya Tivallabhasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara. He said the spiritual master is very dear because he is expert in assisting the gopis, who at different times make different tasteful arrangements for the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal loving affair within the grove of Vrindavan. I offer my respectful obeisance. What is the point here? The spiritual master is the real gopi, because he assists the gopis. So it's not most of what these different campaigns are here and there. The spiritual master, when you say the real devotee, he's the real devotee because he's assisting, the gopis, to assist, in the service of the Lord. So what is the point here? The point here is that following the footstep of the spiritual master, it has, more nourishment for the devotees. Because the spiritual master is not left out in the lila. The spiritual master is there in the lila. That is the reason it mentioned here that he also is contributing, is assisting the gopis so that they can do nice arrangement for the pleasure of Radha and Krishna. So it means that the spiritual master actually knows the heart of Krishna, just like the gopis. So it is mentioned that the spiritual master, there's no difference from the spiritual master and Krishna. As a matter of fact, the spiritual master is the manifestation of Krishna. Right? So the seventh one was that Shakshadure Trena Samansa Sastre Utashabhava Yatyaeva Sovi Kinu Prabhoya Priyaeva Tasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrinda. The spiritual master is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord because he is the most confidential servitor of the Lord. This is acknowledged in all the revealed scriptures and followed by all authority. It says the spiritual master, what is it? The spiritual master must be honored as much as the Supreme Lord because it's not different from the Lord. I will remember the story. At one time when Srila Prabhupada made, now you should worship me like God. Is Srila Prabhupada not truly God? Yes. Yes. Whatever we are doing in this temple is by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Whatever service we are doing is by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, every time, day in, day out, we should always pay obeisance to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada be merciful. I may not be having enough, sukriti to worship you nicely. Please, give me this sukriti. Give me this credit that I will always worship you nicely. Then what is the last part of this song? Yasya prasada bhagava prasado Yasya prasada nagatantopi Dayastu antasya yasya srisangyam Vande Guru Shri Charana. Let us not forget this. If we are doing bhakti or we are practicing sadhaka, this thing is not by our mind. It's not by our pride. It's not by our ego. It is by the mercy of the spiritual master. Therefore, 3 junctions of the day, we should always remember and pay obeisances to the spiritual master. This is where the strength is, and this is where we get the strength, the power to continue our spiritual practice. And these are my few thoughts. Maybe there is still something there. Maybe so will be some other time. So, questions, reflection? Yes. Hare Krishna, yeah.
Can you tell about
Okay.
Something glorification or something.
Okay. Yes. Why not? Because I have once had a encounter with him. And that encounter I want to share. Before Maharaj, physical challenge or illness, he has one time visited West Africa when I was there. So there was a big festival in West Africa, and Maharaj was invited by His Holiness Srila Kavichandra Swami Maharaj. As a matter of fact, Maharaj has some disciples in West Africa. So after the Jagannath Yatra festival, we have all gone around for the procession. Now in the evening of it, there was some arrangement that Maharaj will be having initiation, will be initiating some devotees. So devotees were preparing. Because it was a very big festival and some guests was also there and so many arrangements were put in place, to keep both the guests and devotees engaged. So Maharaj has gone upstairs to refresh because this was after the yatra. So when he came down the stairs, he saw there were a bunch of devotees in a particular hall, and they were watching, Prabhupada's in some pastime, and most devotees also were chanting. So Maharaj said, "No, you cannot be watching at the same time chanting." So this one is a very practical thing. So this one thing we should also keep in mind. We are chanting at the same time, we are using one hand to score the phone. This is really an offensive, what they call pardon? Very good, inattentive. Inattentive. And you'll be surprised that the recent research said that every individual scored their phone more than 150 times. Recent research it is that everybody scored your phone. You look to your phone, school more than 150 times. So what it means is that the phone takes our time more than the basic time we should use for higher values. But we don't know because the phone activities is very subtle. You can only know when you are conscious of your activities. I said there are physical disease, there are subtle disease. Phone is a subtle disease. The phone gradually is taking the place of intoxicant, is taking the place of smoking, all those things is gradually Look at where people put their time. If you go around this temple now, you see somebody just somewhere. any corner you go, where the people are living one addiction to another addiction. So the phone is a subtle addiction, which is a disease. If you are not careful, you'll be involved on the disease.
But if we are using in the service of the Lord,
Then we have to be careful. What time do we spend in the phone in the service of the Lord? Or maybe we are using it for the service of the Lord, but we spend more than the time we spend for japa in the phone, just in quote, the service of the Lord. Maybe we have to be conscious. This institution is called Krishna conscious. We should be conscious in everything we do.
one more question.
Yes, go ahead.
If we are hearing Krishna Katha or spiritual anything, then we are eager more for hearing more. So how can we
Yeah, eager to hear more is very good because this is what we learn from Parishit Maharaj. But to hear more without internalizing, it makes no sense. Just like somebody feeds the stomach and you don't go to the toilet. Where would be the space to put more? You feed your stomach and you're not going to the small room. Then there's a problem. So when you hear, you internalize it, then you get the ability to share with others. Either you talk to others outside or within the campus where you live. What you hear, you want to share with you as you understand it. Then the eagerness to hear more and to make it transform yourself, awaken in you. But when you hear, but you don't you don't internalize them. It's like somebody who have eaten nicely, but it's not going to the washroom. And that's a big disease, you know. So hearing can also take that steps, or take that future. Hearing is good, but internalizing and passing it on, or sharing it, that make more sense. Because that is what we learn from Parikshit Maharaj. After hearing, he said, I'm no longer afraid of the snake bed. Let the snake bed. Because he have internalized. Now he wants to show to the world. I don't only hear. Now I want to exhibit what I hear. Okay? Last question? There's still some time, 5 minutes there. Any query or something? Query, reflection? You know, this chapter is all about phenomenal things that Krishna, associates himself with. Yes, your reflection? Mahatma, you're sleeping, always sleeping. Always sleeping. Always talk and sleeping. Yeah, the last question before we wind up for the day. Yeah, okay, there are no questions. I thank you for your patience. I thank you for always, making this hall, as Prabhupada would say, as it is. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada.